Hello students, welcome back. This side Pushpen Singh Rajawat and I have welcome you all in the chapter number 3, that is the natural resources. So this is the lecture first of this chapter, that is the natural resources. So students, what we are going to study here in this particular chapter. So for that students, have a look over here that what are the important things that we are going to study in this chapter and how this chapter is divided. So let us start here with the chapter 3, that is the natural resources. So students, in the start with the introduction, and after that we are going to move into the types of natural resources. And in this types of natural resources, the exhaustible natural resources, that is the non-renewable exhaustible natural resources, they are very much important, in which we are going to see here the fossil fuels. So in the fossil fuels, we are going to study three major categories, that are first the coal, second petroleum, and third, that is the natural gas. So students, this chapter is all about, that is the types of natural resources, in which the most important part is the fossil fuels, that is the coal, petroleum and the natural gas, that how they are formed, what are their compositions, how we can obtain different methods. That is, in the coal we are going to do the destructive distillation of coal, so that process is important. In the petroleum we are going to do the fractional distillation, so that is also very much important. So these processes are also very important, and we are going to see each one of them in detail. So about them, we are going to move into the last category of this chapter, that is the conservation of natural resources. So students, this chapter is very small, but it is an important chapter, because here we are going to deal with what we are going to deal with the fossil fuels, the coal part, the petroleum part, how the destructive distillation is done, what are the important products, what are their uses, how the fractional distillation of petroleum is done, what are the different products that we get from here, and what are its uses. So at last we will be dealing with the conservation of natural resources, or simply the conservation of the fossil fuels, in which this part is important, that is the fossil fuels, because the fossil fuels are those natural resources, or we can say fossil fuels are non-renewable exhaustible natural resources which cannot be renewed over time. So once they have been used by us, they are simply depleted. So that is why we have to conserve these fossil fuels. So this is about this chapter, which is very small, but here we are going to see the three lectures, in which in the first and second lecture we are going to discuss some theory, and in the third lecture we are going to do the numerical part. So students, let us move over to the slides and see here what we are going to study today in this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to see here the types of natural resources and all about the coal. So students, let us start with the introduction. So you all know students, the natural resources, that is the resources that are found in the nature or that are held in reserves. So here the natural resources indicate the potential wealth of a country. If we talk about the definition of natural resources, so the variety of the substances that man gets from the earth and nature to meet his basic needs are termed as simply the natural resources. Now here, what is the meaning of this resource? So the word resource means a source of supplying a material which is generally held in the reserve. So resource could be anything students. Resource could be a human resource, or it is a natural resource. So they are what? These are the source of supplying material which are generally held in reserves. Now natural resources could be both living as well as the non-living. Some of these resources are found in abundance, while some others are found in the limited quantities, and that too in the some restricted parts of the world. So here their proportion may also vary in the different parts of the world. So students, let us start with the next slide, that is the types of natural resources. So here students, depending upon their abundance and the availability, the natural resources are categorized into two major types. So what are these two major types? That is the inexhaustible natural resources, and the second one is the exhaustible natural resources. So here we are going to see what are the inexhaustible natural resources and what are the exhaustible natural resources, along with their definitions and the examples. So let us start with the flowchart over here. So that is the natural resources classified into two categories, that is inexhaustible and the exhaustible. So students, as the name suggests, these are what? These are the inexhaustible natural resources, that is the resources that are in the unlimited quantity. Here these resources are not likely to be depleted by the use of human beings. So here the resources that are not likely to be exhausted by the human activity or their use. So here these are present in the unlimited quantity. So here you can see their examples. Just for an example, air, water and the solar radiations which we get from the sun. So these comes under the category of the inexhaustible natural resources. So they are before the man and they are after the human beings also. So they could be present in the unlimited quantity. Now here moving to the second, that is the exhaustible natural resources. So as the name suggests, they are going to be exhaust in time. So here the resources that are limited in quantity. So those resources that are in the limited quantity, that are simply termed as the exhaustible natural resources. So since they are in the limited quantity, it means that they are going to be exhausted with the human activity. So here the resources that are likely to be exhausted by the human activity. So here, before discussing their examples, let us move to the exhaustible natural resources, that how they are further classified. So the exhaustible natural resources are further classified into two categories, that are the renewable natural resources and the non-renewable natural resources, or we can say simply the renewable exhaustible natural resources or non-renewable exhaustible natural resources. So here students, as the name suggests, that they are going to be renew or replenish themselves if the human activities are subsided. So here you can see the next one is the non-renewable, that is if the human activities are subsided or not, they are going to be end one day, or they are going to be exhaust one day if they are used at once. So if the resources that comes under the non-renewable category, they are used by any one time, so we cannot use that again because they are not going to replenish over the time. So just reading their definitions here, that is they can replenish themselves by the quick recycling and replacement within a reasonable time. So here they are not likely to be exhausted. Just for an example, soil, forests and wildlife. So students, if I talk about the wildlife, if the excessive hunting goes on, so some of the species may become extinct or the vulnerable. So if we stop the hunting for some period of time, so wildlife is going to be replenished themselves. So here you can see that these are the renewable natural resources. Same goes with the soils as well as for the forests. Now here let us talk about the non-renewable natural resources. So they cannot replenish themselves by the recycling and the replacement. So if they are used once, they are going to be exhausted. Just for example, you can see here the minerals, fossil fuels in which the coal, petroleum come. If we are going to use the coal, that is if I am going to burn the coal, I cannot get coal again by any method, because the coal that I have used, it gives out the energy and it converted into the ash part. So here students, that was a chemical change and I'm not going to get the coal again by any method. So it means that coal is a non-renewable exhaustible natural resource. So I hope students that the exhaustible natural resources, inexhaustible natural resources, renewable natural resources and non-renewable natural resources are pretty much clear in your mind. So now students, let us start here with the fossil fuels, which comes under the non-renewable exhaustible natural resources. So here students, talking about the fossil fuels, so the exhaustible natural resources like the coal, petroleum or the natural gas, they were formed from the dead remains of the living organisms, that are the fossils. That's why they get the name as the fossil fuels. So these are called as the fossil fuels. So this is a single line definition for the fossil fuels, that is they are the exhaustible natural resources which were formed by the dead remains of living organisms or the fossils. So let us start here students with the next, that is the coal. The coal and petroleum are very important natural resources and they play a vital role in the modern society. Why? Because they are found in the earth crust. Their easy availability and the specific characteristics make them very important in the growth of the industry. So students that have the many reserves of coal and petroleum, just for an example, if I talk about the Saudi Arabia, so that comes under the category of developed countries. So now students, at present they are the chief sources of energy worldwide, and students remember this, that these are the fossil fuels that are going to be exhaust someday. So that is why we are studying this chapter over here, that to study the importance of the fossil fuels and what are the different ways we can apply to preserve them, or we can simply use them in the limited quantity, or to find the alternative sources of energy for the fossil fuels. So students, let us start with the coal. So talking about students coal, you all have seen the coal. So the coal looks like this. You can see here the color, while you can also see here some different coloration of the coal. So that is due to the impurities. So here, what is a coal? Coal is a mineral of dark brown or the black color formed by the remains of the plants buried in the earth's crust millions of years ago. So here students, they are formed by what? They are formed by the plant matter which were buried under the earth's crust millions of years ago, and due to the high pressure, tremendous temperature, they converted into what? They converted into this form that you see over here, which we termed as a coal. And this is what? This is a fuel, which we are going to see that what is the definition of fuel in the next chapter, that is the combustion and flame or the oxidation of fuels. So here students, let us move into the next slide and see over here the composition. So coal is what? Coal is a very impure form of carbon. It mainly consists of the atoms of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and some small amount of what? That is the sulfur and some other different atoms. But here these are the some of the important in which they are going to form what? They are going to form the impurity, because if we talk about the coal, it means that we are talking about the carbon. So maximum part that is present in the coal should be of the carbon. So you can see over here that is the 75% carbon is present in the coal, while here the oxygen 8%, hydrogen 5%, nitrogen 1.5%, sulfur 0.5%, and ash, that is the 10%. So this is the composition of coal. So now students, after talking about the composition, let us move into the next slide and see over here the depositions or the deposits of the coal. So the distribution of coal deposits is not uniform in the earth's crust. This you all know students. Due to the different geography, they are not evenly distributed in the earth's crust. So here talking about the India students, so India has what? India has a large deposits of coal, and that is also not uniformly distributed. Here you can see in the India, the major part of coal is found in the West Bengal, Odisha, Jharkhand, and the belt over, that is the MP, Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, and some other parts of the country. So here students, this is how they are distributed. You can also see here that in some other parts or in some other states, coal fields are also found, but here we are talking about the major coal fields. So students, just moving into the next slide and see over here that it is estimated that India has about 80 billion tons of proven coal deposits. So now moving to the next point, that is the coal deposits are spread in the states of the Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, Telangana, Chhattisgarh, etc. So here you can see the distribution, that is the major part, that is the 26% that you see over here, is in the Jharkhand. Now talking about the Odisha also, here the 25% of the total coal deposits are found in the Odisha. In the Chhattisgarh, as you can see, the 18%, in the West Bengal, that is the 10%, in the Madhya Pradesh, that is 9%, and in Telangana, that is the 6%, while here the Maharashtra and others, they are going to form, that is 4 plus 2, that is 6% of total coal reserves. But here the major parts are distributed in the Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, and Madhya Pradesh. So now students, this is about the deposits in our country. So now students, let us move here and see the most important part, that is the formation of the coal. So as I have just told you students, that coals are formed from the dead remains of the plants in the millions of years duration due to excessive pressure and excessive temperature. So here students, you can see over here that around 100 to 400 million years ago, where there was the plants, vegetations, whole forest, they get buried under the soil and they get converted into what? They get converted into the coal, which we are going to today mine from the coal sites or the coal fields. So here students, just reading this about that how the coal was formed. So here we are going to see this in the next slide, which you have to write in your notes. So simply just reading it about, that is a million of years ago, dead plant matter fell into the swampy water, and over time a thick layer of dead plants lay decaying in the bottom of the swamps. So over time the surface and the climate of the earth changed and more water and dirt washed in, halting the decaying process and forming the peat. So what is peat students? This we are also going to see in the upcoming slides. That is the very first form of carbon in which the percentage of carbon is very less and which is the first formed carbon in the time. So as the time passes, the carbon percentage goes on increasing and we get the different types of coal. That is the peat, lignite, bituminous and the anthracite. So the anthracite contains what? Anthracite contains the maximum part of the carbon. So here let us see them all, that what is written over here. So that is the formation. It is believed that the millions of years ago the ground below the forests splits open by the natural forces such as earthquakes and the volcanoes. So here students, all the forests were, that is at that time millions of years ago, that got buried under the soil, and as they are buried under the soil, the sediments move over and over and they are buried in the depth. So the forests were buried in the chasm, thus the plants had no contact with the oxygen. This part you need to remember, that here the plants or these forests, they have no contact with the oxygen, that is the absence of oxygen. Now the successive layers of the sediment sealed the buried plants under the earth's crust. Now over the millions of years ago, these deposits were subjected to the tremendous pressure and heat, which finally transformed them into the coal. So here students, what are the important things that you need to remember? That is the coal were formed from the plant matter, that is the forests, and the second is that there should be no supply of the oxygen. The forests were buried under the sediments, and due to the period of millions of years ago, that is the high pressure and high temperature make and transform these forests into the coal. So students, I hope you remember this part, and moving over here and see, that is the all the plant matter that were buried under the soil, over the time and over the pressure they converted into the first form of coal, that is the peat, the second is the lignite, the third is the coal. So here students, the process of converting the plant matter into the coal is simply termed as the carbonization of plant matter. So here the chemical process involved in the transformation of the plant matter into coal is called as the carbonization of the plant matter. So this definition you need to remember, because it has been asked in the subjective type question, that what is the meaning of the carbonization. So simply, the chemical process involved in the transformations of plant matter into the coal is simply termed as the carbonization of plant matter, and which happens over the time of million years ago due to excessive pressure and excessive heat. Now just see over here the types of coal. So student, if we talk about the different types of coal, so here the first form of coal that is found at the upper surface of the earth's crust, that is the peat. At the lower surface we will be finding here the lignite. At the much lower level we will be finding the bituminous, and at the last we are going to find the anthracite. It means that these are buried at a much deeper depth. So here they are subjected to much high pressure and much high temperature, and also as they are buried under, so it means that they are buried much before as them. So here they are subjected to very much high pressure, very much high temperature, and they are present there for a quite a long period than this type of coal, that is the peat. So it is obvious students that they contain the major part of carbon in them, or we can say out of these are the pure form, or they contain the much percentage of carbon in them. So here this just reading them all, that is the peat. So here the stage 1, that is the peat, that is the partial decomposition of the plant remains, forms a brownish black material that is called as a peat. Now talking about the second stage, that is the lignite. So the peat is buried by other sediments. As heat and pressure increase, peat becomes lignite, and lignite is also called as the brown coal. Now talking about the third stage, that is the bituminous. Here increased temperature and pressure turns lignite into the bituminous coal, which is 80% carbon, and bituminous coals is also called as the soft coal. So here they are also going to divide into two categories, that is the subbituminous also, but here we are going to see in the upcoming slide. Now talking about the last stage, that is the anthracite. So under high temperature and pressure conditions, bituminous coals eventually becomes anthracite, which is the hardest form of coal. So here students, you can see these, that they are what? They are the brownish black material that are termed as peat. The brown coal is the lignite. Here you can see the soft coal is named as the bituminous coal, and the hard coal is named as the anthracite. We are also going to see that how much carbon content they have in them. So now moving over here and see, that is the peat that converted into the lignite, which converted into the bituminous. So here the category of bituminous, that is the subbituminous also, and at last they get converted into the anthracite when they are going to buried under the sediments. Here you can see here that they are buried much under these sediments, and over the high temperature, high pressure, and a lot more of time, that is the million of years ago, they are going to convert into what? That is the plant matter. They are going to convert into the coal, that is the anthracite coal. So here students, you can see that is here the increased heat and carbon content as we move over here, and here you can see the increase in the moisture content as we move from the anthracite to the peat side. It means that the peat contains much higher content of moisture in them, while the anthracite contains the least percentage of moisture in them. So now students, let us move into the next slide. So here we can see a flow chart and also the percentage of carbon content in the different types of coal. So first we are going to read this, and then we are going to move into see the percentage, that is the percentage of carbon in them, and also the calorific value. We are going to also define here what is the meaning of calorific value. But first let us see over here the flow chart. So I hope students, you all have remembered from the past two slides that what is the flow chart of the carbonization of plant matter. So here you can see the peat, that is the dead plant material, it gets converted into the lignite, which is a brown coal, which gets converted into the bituminous, which is termed as a household or the soft coal, and that eventually converted into the anthracite or the hard coal. So here this moves as the pressure increases, temperature increases, and also the time increases as we move from here top to the bottom. Now just seeing over here the type of coal, that is the peat, it contains what? That is the 50 to 60% carbon in them, and here the lignite, it contains 60 to 70% carbon in them. The bituminous, it contains 75 to 80% carbon in them, while here the anthracite, that is the hard coal, it contains 90 to 95% carbon in them, while the rest is simply the impurities in them. So here students, if we talk about, say, just by burning carbon, we will be getting what? Carbon dioxide and the energy. So here students, the amount of energy that we get by burning a unit mass of a fuel is termed as the calorific value of that fuel. So we are going to discuss that in the next chapter, but here simply remember that here if carbon is what? Carbon is termed as a fuel. So here the amount of energy that has been obtained by burning a unit mass, either it could be 1 gram, 1 kg, or could anything. So by burning that unit mass of a fuel, the amount of energy that we can get from here, that is termed as the calorific value of that fuel. So here students, you can check here that as it contains 50 to 60% carbon and it contains 90 to 95% carbon, so it is very obvious students that as we move from peat to the anthracite, the carbon percentage goes on increasing, so also the calorific value goes on increasing. So just remember these points students, that the peat has a calorific value of 10.5 to 12.6 kilojoules per gram. Here the joule is what? Joule is the energy, or is a unit of the energy. Now talking about the lignite, that is, it has the calorific value of 14.7 to 18.9 kilojoules per gram. The bituminous has 28 to 31 kilojoules per gram calorific value. The anthracite has 31 to 33 kilojoules per gram of calorific value. So students, if you don't want to remember these, but you can remember them, there is no need to remember these, students, as I can say. They are somewhat difficult to remember, but simply remember that the peat should be having the least calorific value while the anthracite should be having the high calorific value, and here the ranges. So that depends also on the carbon content. So students, this is about the different types of coals, as we have seen, starting from the peat ending to the anthracite. So now students, it's time to move into the next slide, that is the destructive distillation of the coal. So students, what is the meaning of destructive distillation? Here we are heating here the coal strongly in the absence of oxygen. So that process is known as the destructive distillation of the coal. And here the vapors that has been produced on heating the coal is passed through the water, that is, they are first heated strongly and then the vapors that has been produced are condensed in the water and we obtain very different products. So here first we are going to see here what is the destructive distillation of coal and what are the products formed in the destructive distillation of coal, and after that we are going to see that what are the uses of each component that has been produced after the destructive distillation of coal. So students, the process of heating coal in the absence of air is termed as the destructive distillation of coal. Now coal contains a number of elements such as the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen and sulfur. You all know this. So when the coal is heated in the absence of air, a number of compounds are obtained. So what are these compounds, students? So let us check each and every compound over here. So students, let us see over here the destructive distillation of coal, that how it has been done. So students, you can see over here, this is an experimental setup for the destructive distillation of coal, in which in one test tube we are doing this in the laboratory. So here we are taking a test tube which has been mounted to this stand and another test tube is also mounted to this stand, and here we are using the burner for heating the coal. So here what we have here, we are having the powdered coal in here. So first we are having the powdered coal and when we are heating it strongly, here the vapors are forming. So the vapors pass through this opening which is present over here, because here the stop cork is there. So when we hitting this here, the vapors pass through this and these vapors are passed through the water. In this test tube you can see the water is present, and since the water is present over here and the vapors are passed over here, so there could be three things, that is, either the vapors could dissolve in it or the vapors could not dissolve in it and they form the something insoluble substance in the water, or the third possibility is that the vapors that has been present over here, they neither dissolve nor they settle down, they simply move away from the surface of water. So students, what happens here, when the vapors are releasing from this side, they are moved to this water, and in the water they are forming what? They are forming this, you can see over here, the black thick solid. So this black thick solid is termed as what? This is termed as the coal tar. So this is what? This is the product that has been formed over here, the first product after the destructive distillation of coal, that is the coal tar. The second, you can see in the water some soluble vapors are dissolved in it. So here they are going to form the ammonical liquor. So here this is what? This is the second, which you can see over here, the second component which is formed after the destructive distillation of coal. Talking about the third, you can see the gases that has been escaping out from this opening here, they are termed as what? That is the coal gas. So this coal gas is what? This is the third component of the destructive distillation, or the third product which is formed by the destructive distillation of coal. Now students, what you see over here, that when we are heating the coal strongly enough in the absence of air, so here we will be seeing a residue. So here a residue is also there. So this residue is black in color and this residue is termed as what? That is the coke, or the powdered coke. So here this is the fourth product of the destructive distillation of coal. So students, what you can see over here, that on heating the coal we are getting the four different components, that is the coke, the second is coal tar, the third is ammonical liquor, and the fourth one is that is the coal gas. So students, let us deal with each one of them in the upcoming slides. So starting with the coke. So students, first see over here, that is the main products that are obtained by the destructive distillation of coals, as I have just told you that they are coke, coal tar, ammonical liquor and the coal gas. And let us now start with the coke part. So student, you can see the coke contains what? It contains the 98% carbon, because here most of the impurities are simply removed in the form of the vapors. So here the coke contains 98% carbon. It is the porous, tough and black and the purest form of the coal. So student, out of these four, this one is the purest form of coal among them. Now the next point, that is like the charcoal, it is a good fuel, but we cannot use it as a fuel. We are using it as the reducing agent in the metallurgical industries, that you are going to study in the metallurgical sections in class 10th, metals and non-metals. So here just remember, coke contains 98% carbon, so this is a very good fuel. But instead of using the coke as a fuel, we are using the coke in the metallurgical industries as the reducing agents. Just remember this point, students, that like charcoal, it is a good fuel and burns without smoke, but it is seldom employed as a fuel because it can be put to more valuable use, as I have just told you, that in the metallurgical industries. Now the third point, which is a supporting point for this point, it is largely employed as a reducing agent in the extraction of the metals from their ores. It is also used in making the fuel gases like the water gas and the producer gas. So students, the extraction of metals part, this we are going to see in the class 10th chapter, that is metals and non-metals. But talking about the water gas and the producer gas, we are going to deal them in the next slide. So this is about the coke, students, which is the purest form of coal, which contains 98% carbon, and it is porous, tough, black and the purest form of coal. So now students, let us see over here the water gas and the producer gas. So students, talking about the water gas, water gas is an equimolar mixture of carbon monoxide and the hydrogen, and it is formed by passing the coke over the steam. So here, on passing the coke over the steam, we get the water gas just like this. So you can simply see here, this is what? This is the red hot coke. That is the coke which has been heated. So to the red hot coke, when we pass the water vapors, here a combination of gas is formed, that is the carbon monoxide and hydrogen. This could be used as a fuel, because carbon monoxide on burning gives carbon dioxide, while hydrogen on burning gives the H2O, and a large amount of energy is released. So here this is been asked in several examinations, what is the water gas? So water gas is an equimolar mixture, because here the carbon monoxide and hydrogen, they are in the 1:1 ratio. So they are the equimolar mixture of the carbon monoxide and hydrogen. Now talking about the producer gas, so producer gas is a mixture of carbon monoxide and the nitrogen. Here it has been obtained when air is passed over the red hot coke. So to the red hot coke, here you can see, this is what? This is the red hot coke. So to this red hot coke, when the air is passed, so you all know, students, that 78% contains the nitrogen, while 21% contains what? That is the oxygen. So here you can see the ratio of oxygen and the nitrogen is the 1:4. So here when the air is passed, that is from air, nitrogen and oxygen, when it is passed over the red hot coke, they are going to form the mixture of carbon monoxide and nitrogen, and this whole is termed as the producer gas. This is also used as a good fuel, but among these, that is the water gas and the producer gas, water gas is a good fuel, students. Remember this point. Now moving to the next slide, that is the coal tar. So students, coal tar is what? Coal tar is a mixture of different carbon compounds. It is a thick black liquid with unpleasant smell. So students, what you have seen and where you have obtained the coal tar, so you have obtained the coal tar over here, that is in the water. So this insoluble liquid which is formed in the water after passing the vapors through it, so this insoluble liquid is what? That is the coal tar. It is black in color. So here, just reading it again, that is, it is thick black liquid with the unpleasant smell, and it is a mixture of different carbon compounds. So students, since that liquid contains many different carbon compounds, so we are employing here the fractional distillation. So after the fractional distillation of coal tar, we are going to discuss in the petroleum what is the meaning of the fractional distillation. So the fractional distillation of coal tar gives many chemical substances which are used in the preparation of synthetic dyes, perfumes, explosives, paints, synthetic fibers, drugs and pesticides. So there are many different chemical compounds that are formed by the fractional distillation of coal tar. And coal tar is what? That is a thick black liquid having the unpleasant smell, which is formed as an insoluble substance when the vapors are passed through the water in the destructive distillation of coal. So here students, moving to the next, that some of these chemical substances are, that is the benzene, toluene, phenol, naphthalene balls and aniline. So here they contains what? They contains the carbon in them. So these are what? These are the carbon compounds which are obtained by the destructive distillation of coal and after the fractional distillation of the coal tar. So remember students, at the earlier days that coal tar was used for the leveling of road surfaces, but now we uses the bitumen, which is a petroleum product for making roads, not the coal tar. Here you can see there are so many important products that are obtained by the fractional distillation of the coal tar. So instead of using the coal tar in the road surfaces, we are using what? We are using the bitumen. Now moving to the next slide students, and talking about the ammonical liquor. So students, as I have just told you that when the vapors are passed through here, so the vapors contains what? NH3, and when they are mixed with the water, they are going to form what? That is NH4OH, which is termed as what? That is the ammonium hydroxide. So when the ammonia is passed through the water, it is a soluble gas and it is going to form what? That is ammonium hydroxide, and this ammonium hydroxide is termed as the ammonical liquor. So students, just reading, that is the ammonia produced as a result of the destructive distillation of coal is absorbed in water, and the aqueous solution of ammonia, that is the ammonical hydroxide solution, is termed as the ammonical liquor. So I hope students that this part becomes clear to you. Now it is used in the preparation of the fertilizers such as the ammonium sulfate and ammonium superphosphate. So students, the ammonical liquor that contains the part of nitrogen, and the nitrogen is used for making the fertilizer. So students, the ammonical liquor is used in the preparation of the fertilizers such as the ammonium sulfate and the ammonium superphosphates. So simply remember that much about the ammonical liquor. Now students, moving to the next, that is the coal gas. So students, talking about the coal gas, you all know that the coal gas is being produced when the vapors which is formed after the destructive distillation of coal is passed through the water. So the coal gas neither dissolved in water nor it condenses in the water, it simply goes out from the water in the gaseous form. So here the coal gas is what? Coal gas is a gas which is a mixture of hydrogen, methane and carbon monoxide. So remember this part student, that coal gas is a mixture of hydrogen gas, methane gas and carbon monoxide gas. Now here the gases present in the coal gas are the combustible and hence it is an excellent fuel. So students, you know that hydrogen burns to give the H2O and the large amount of energy is produced. The methane also burns, that is it is a hydrocarbon, so it burns to form CO2 and H2O, and also large amount of energy is produced. Also the carbon monoxide oxidizes in the presence of oxygen to give carbon dioxide and some amount of energy is released. So here they all are, that is the coal gas, since they are present in the coal gas, so here they are used as an excellent fuel. Now students, it has a high calorific value. So what is the meaning of calorific value students? The calorific value, as I have just told you in the previous slides, that is the amount of heat energy that is released when we burn a unit mass of a fuel. So that determines the calorific value. So higher is the calorific value of a fuel, so very good that fuel would be. So it was used for lighting the houses, factories and streets in the Mumbai until 1950. So it was also used for cooking until recently, but now it has been replaced with the bulbs and now the LEDs. But in the 1950 years, they have been used as a source of lightning. So now students, this is all about the destructive distillation of coal, in which we have seen the coke, the coal tar, the ammonical liquor and the coal gas. So here students, let us see in the next slide the flow chart, and remember this flow chart students, this would be very helpful in solving the questions. So students, talking about the coal, so when it is heated strongly in the absence of oxygen, so here this is what, this is the destructive distillation of coal. So this process is termed as what, that is the destructive distillation of coal. So here when it has been heated, it forms what, it forms the solid residue and the hot vapor. So here the solid residue has got its name, that is the coke. Now talking about the vapor students, so the vapors, the hot vapors are passed through what, they are passed and bubbled through the water. So when they are cooled and bubbled through the water, so the two things are happening, that is the insoluble gases. So the insoluble gases that has been formed when the hot vapors are passed through the water, so that are the coal gases. Now here when they are passed through the water, the gas is condensed and the condensed liquid is formed over here. So when the condensed liquid is allowed to stand, it is forming what, it is forming a thick black solid or semi liquid, and the upper part, that is the two layers are formed over here. So the lower layer that has been formed is what, the coal tar, which you all know, that is the black color liquid, while the upper part that has been present, in which the gases has been dissolved, so that upper part is termed as the liquor ammonia or the NH4OH. So students, this is what, this is the destructive distillation of coal, and this is the flow chart for the destructive distillation of the coal. So remember this flow chart students, this would be very helpful in solving the questions. Now students, moving into the next, that is the uses. So students, this is the uses of the coal. So reading all the uses, that is coal is used as a fuel to convert the water into steam to run thermal power plants and for the generation of the electricity. So student, in the thermal power plants, we use this coal to boil the water and convert it into the steam so as to run the turbines, which ultimately runs the generators due to which the electricities are produced. So it is also used as a fuel in the homes and factories and to run the steam engines. Now the second is what, that is coal is used in the preparation of fuel gases such as the coal gases. So you have known how the coal gases has been produced from the coal, that is by the destructive distillation of coal. Now the coal is used in the preparation of the synthetic petrol. Remember this point students, that in the preparation of synthetic petrols, coals are used. Coal is also used in the preparations of synthetic natural gases. The destructive distillation of coal gives coke, coal tar, coal gas and ammonical liquor. The next point, that is the coal is the source for a number of organic compounds such as the benzene, toluene, phenol, aniline, naphthalene and anthracene. So these are what, these are the organic compounds for which the coal is a main source. Some of the organic compounds are obtained from the petrochemicals, but here they are also obtained from the coal. So these are the main source for the benzene, toluene, phenol, aniline, naphthalene and the anthracene. So students, just remember these some of the uses of coal. So now students, talking about this lecture ended over here, in which we have seen the important part and we are over the middle of this chapter. In the next lecture we are going to complete this chapter, and in the next lecture we will be discussing the questions that has been asked in the previous year examinations and also the questions that are present in the exercise 1 and exercise 2 level exercises. So students, now the assignment for you from the exercise 1, that is you have to complete question 1 to 10 from the objective type questions, in which all the theories that we have studied over here, that is up to the coal, is given in the 1 to 10 questions from the natural resources chapter. Now talking about the subjective type questions, you have to do question 1 to 4 as your assignment student. So students, this lecture is all about till the coal. So students, in the next lecture we are going to meet you and we are going to discuss about the petroleum and the natural gases. In the petroleum we will be discussing about the most important part, that is the fractional distillation. So students, we are going to meet you in the next class. Till then students, thank you all.